Saraswati Sisukunj Bhagwala Bursad, English Medium Standard 8th, Subject Science. This is Semester 2 Unit Test 2 revision, and today we are going to learn question number 3A, B. This is your video number 2. Okay, so let's start with question number 3A. That is your answer the following questions in one sentence, 6 marks. See first one. When does the net force applied equal to 0? Right, so we can say there is one object and there are a couple of forces applied, right? And the net force means the amount of force, or we can say amplitude of the force, both forces which are applied, it depends on that. Net forces depends on the amplitude of the force which is applied. So amplitude, we can say if that both forces are applied in an equal amplitude, right? The amplitude of the force is equal and it is in opposite direction, right? It is like example of a table and two students are trying to pull that table towards themselves. So that we can say it is one example of this. Now see here answer how we can write. So when two forces applied from the opposite direction, right? Applied from the opposite direction and in equal magnitude, right? Two things are here, magnitude and opposite direction, right? Then the net force which is applied, it equals to 0. See next one, state two effects of force, right? So we can say it changes the state of motion, right? State of motion, it means when object is at rest position, so if force is applied, it becomes in motion, means it start moving, right? Or we can say object is moving, force is applied, so there will be change of direction, the object will stop or object will increase the speed or decrease the speed. So it is known as state of motion. Second thing, the shape of the object can change when force is applied, right? If you are holding rubber, if you press it, means you are applying force on it, so it will change its shape, right? Okay, so how we can write this answer? See here, it changes the state of force, it changes the state of motion and it changes the shape of object, right? Shape of an object. So two effects are there, state of motion get changes and shape of object changes. Okay, see next question here, give two examples of non-contact force. Means non-contact means the force which comes in action when objects are not in contact with each other, they are apart, right? Like gravitational force, you can write magnetic force, you can write electrostatic force. From this to any two you can write. So your magnetic force and electrostatic force. Okay, let's see number 4 here. Define atmospheric pressure. So atmosphere which is in your surrounding, it applies some force on it, or that force is known as pressure, and that is your atmospheric pressure. Okay, see here, the pressure exerted by envelope of air around you, around us, is called atmospheric pressure. Determine the pressure when force is 50 Newton and area is 5 meters square. Now what is the formula for pressure? That is force upon area, right? Force upon area. Now what is force for here? Force is 50 Newton, so I'll write here 50 Newton upon 5 meters square, right? Now I'll do 5 cancel here, it becomes 10, right? So unit will be this only, right? 10 Newton per meter square, right? How will write? Answer becomes 10 Newton meter square, or you can write here Newton meter raised to minus 2, right? Okay, let's see how you can write here. So this is formula for pressure, right? Force upon area, 50 Newton upon this calculation I already explained to you how to do, right? And your answer becomes 10 Newton per meter. Okay, let's see next question. Give two examples of contact force. You can write here frictional force, you can write muscular force, because frictional force means when one surface moves on the other surface, so this friction comes in a action. And muscular force means you are holding something, right? So that becomes your muscular force. Okay, let's see here, muscular force or force of friction. Okay, let's see next now. What is lubricant? So lubricants are substances which reduces friction. In simple way we can say like that. So there are many lubricants, oils and powder that you sprinkle on a carom board. So simple definition you have to write here, that material that can be used to reduce friction, right, is called lubricant or are called lubricants. Okay, see here, what is fluid? Fluid means all kind of gases and liquids are included here. All kind of gases and liquids are known as fluid, right? Or you can write material which flows or substance that flows, right? See how to write. A substance that can flow is called fluid, gases and liquids, all kind of. Okay, see, what do you mean by interlocking of two surfaces? Now see, interlocking means there are irregularities of this is one surface, and when other surface include the irregularity of other surface is locked. This is lock, this is also lock, right? So these irregularities get locked between in this like this. So this is interlocking, right? This is known as interlocking. But how we will write? See here, irregularities on the two surfaces lock into one another, right? One another. Pits and spikes are get interlocked of two surfaces. That is known as interlocking of two surfaces. Okay, now see number 10 here. What is static friction? Static friction means the force which is required to move, just to start the motion of the object. The force which is required to just start the motion of the object, that force, and the friction which is holding that object, which is not letting that object to move, that both becomes equal and your object start moving. So that is your static friction, right? But how we will write it? See here, the friction that is produced between two surfaces in a contact with each other, and one of the surface start moving from the rest is called static friction. Okay, see, sliding friction and rolling friction. Sliding means sliding, one body is sliding on the other body, right? And you want to keep that body sliding, you are applying some force, that is your, and the friction which which resists that motion, that is your sliding friction. And when one body rolls over the other body and the resisting force, that is your rolling friction. See here, first one, sliding, the force exists when one body slide over the other, right? And rolling means when the body rolls over the surface of other body and the resistance to its is called rolling friction, right? This is three kind of friction: static friction, sliding friction and rolling friction, and most important. Okay, now see here, next, define 1 hertz. Now 1 hertz, here hertz, this is representation of frequency. What it is? Representation of frequency. Now what is the definition of frequency? Means number of vibrations in 1 second. Number of vibration in 1 second. Now here they are asking for 1 hertz, means 1 vibration in 1 second, or we can say 1 oscillation in 1 second, right? How we will write the answer? See here, when vibrating body has 1 vibration per second, that frequency or that vibration, or that is known as 1 hertz, right? The frequency of vibration is known as 1 hertz. Okay, see next one. What is the other name of larynx? So that is voice box, right? The voice box is other name of larynx. Okay, see, what is noise? So unpleasant sound is noise. So is the sound which produces unpleasant sensations, that is called noise. Okay, see next question here. What is noise pollution? The excessive amount of sound which is not required, unwanted sound, right? It is in some excess amount, right? That is known as noise pollution. So see here, presence of excessive or unwanted sound in the environment is known as noise pollution. Next one is amplitude, the maximum displacement of vibrating body, right? The maximum displacement of vibrating body from its mean position, it is known as amplitude. See here, the maximum displacement of vibrating body from its mean position is called amplitude. Now mean position, if you talk about one pendulum, so if this is its mean position, it start moving, this is its maximum displacement, right? And this side, okay, this one is its maximum displacement. So this is its amplitude, distance from here to here, it is its amplitude. Okay, see here, define frequency. I already told you when we I explained about 1 hertz, right? In that I told you what is the definition of frequency. That is number of oscillation in 1 second. Okay, see here, the number of oscillation per second is called the frequency, or number of vibrations also you can write. See next number, that is question number 3b. Answer following questions in short, that is of 10 marks, right? Okay, any 5 you have to write. Now this is interesting. See here, a rocket has been fired upwards from the launch pad, means from the launch pad to launch the satellite in its orbit. Now name the 2 forces which acting on that rocket immediately after leaving the launch pad. The rocket is on launch pad, it will leave the launch pad. Now it is in air, it is in atmosphere, right? Because it is not in contact with earth, right? So earth will apply force, that is gravitational force. Now it is already, I told you that it is in air, it is in the fluid, so there will be fluid friction, right? There will be friction, there will be force which is applied by air, so that 2 forces will act on the rocket. See here, first one is gravitational force acting on the rocket in the downward direction towards the ground, towards the center of the earth. Frictional force due to air acting in the opposite direction of the motion of the rocket. Okay, see next number, second number. What is the state of motion? Now how can the force change the state of motion? How? What is state of motion? When object is in motion or object is in rest position, or we can say, if you want to identify the motion of the object, like in which direction it is moving, what is the speed, that is known as state of motion, right? And how we can, means how the force can change the state of motion. So force can reduce the speed, force can change the direction, force can stop the object, force can make an object move. So this thing you have to write. Okay, see how we will write here. So the state of motion of an object is described by its speed and the direction of motion. 2 things, speed and direction of the motion, we can describe the state of motion. Okay, when the force is applied on a stationary object, stationary means object which is rest position, right? That is stationary position. So now to move that object, means force can move that object. When force is applied on a moving object, it will change direction, or it will increase its speed. Its speed get increased. It can stop that moving object. So these are the things which we can do by applying force, or force can change the state of motion of an object, we can say like that. Now this the effects of force is so much important, right? Anyhow it will be in your paper, anyhow. There are 2 or 3 questions are there in this kind of that what force can do. Okay, see next question here. What are the effects of force? As I told you right here, see, so a force can move stationary object or stop a moving object. Force can change the speed of an object. Force can also change the direction of motion of an object. Direction also change, speed also can change by the force. It can change the shape of an object, right? When you are pressing the rubber, the shape changes, right? All of this or some of these effects can be observed due to force, maybe all or maybe some in one case, right? So this is how these are the effects of the force. See next number question, explain contact force and non-contact force. So contact force, when 2 objects are in a contact and the force comes in action, that is contact force. And when 2 objects are not in contact, they are apart, so the force when it comes in a action, that is a non-contact force. If we talk about contact force, so there are 2 examples which is given here, muscular force and the second one is frictional force. Non-contact force, there are 3 examples, magnetic force, electrostatic force and gravitational force. So that thing you have to write here. See here, contact force, the force which comes in action only when 2 objects comes in a physical contact. Now here this word is so much important, physical contact, right? Physical contact with each other is called contact force. For example, as I told you, muscular and frictional force. Okay, next one is non-contact force. So the force which comes in action without any contact, right? Without any contact, it is known as non-contact force. Okay, for example, here electrostatic force and magnetic force is written. Okay, let's see next question here. What is electrostatic force? And why it is called non-contact force? So electrostatic force means when any object is charged, right, and that charge object applied force on some charge and uncharged, right, so that is known as electrostatic force. And why it is called non-contact force means when it is applied, there is not any, that both those objects should be in the contact. Without contact, the electrostatic force can work. So how we will write here? The force exerted by charged body on another charged body, or another, we can say another body is uncharged, right? And this is how this electrostatic force works. So this is called electrostatic force, right? Now this force comes into play when bodies are not in contact, right? When bodies are not in contact, at that time this force comes in a action. So that is why it is known as non-contact force. Okay, see next question. Explain why sliding friction is less than static friction. So as I told you, sliding friction means the body is already sliding on the surface or any other body. One body is sliding on the other body, and we want to keep that body sliding. Now that it is already sliding, it is in motion, and we want to keep that motion continue. And at that time, the force which comes in action in opposite direction, that is your sliding force. But as your body is already sliding, means it is already more than the frictional force, so you require a less amount of force to keep that body moving or sliding. Now static force, in that your body is at rest position, in stationary position, right, and you will try to move that body from the rest position. So we can say that when you are trying to move, so amount of force is more than the amount of force which is required to keep the body moving, right? The amount of force which is required to move the body, it is more than the amount of force which is required to keep the body moving, right? Okay, now see here, what is the explanation which is written here? So the force required to overcome friction at the instant means immediately, right? In instant an object start moving from the rest, it is measured as static friction. Okay, now on the other hand, the force required to keep the object moving with the same speed. Now look here, object is in a stationary position. Force required to overcome friction. Overcome friction means your object is not moving, right? And here, to keep the object moving means already your object is in a motion only, right? So that is why this two, sliding friction is less than static friction, right? Okay, with the same speed. What you are doing in the sliding friction, you are keeping your object in the motion with the same speed, right? And that is why there is the measure of your sliding friction, and that is why sliding friction is less than the static friction. See next one, state advantages of friction. So we can say that we can walk on the road with the help of friction, we can write on the board with chalk, you can write with pen, pencil on a paper. That are the advantages of friction. So friction allows you to walk comfortably on the road, it allows you to write on a blackboard with the help of chalk, as well as on the paper with pen or pencil. You can fix a nail on the wall with the help of friction. Okay, see the next one, state the disadvantages of friction. Wear and tear first of all, right? So it causes wear and tear in the object, means you are not able to use your shoes for the long time, right? Like 10 years you cannot use that, right? It will get damaged because of friction. When a machine is operated, it produces heat get produced, right? Okay, which causes most wastage of energy, okay, due to friction. Some part of the machines get damaged, due to friction. It opposes the motion of the moving object, and as a result speed of the object reduces, also reduces. Okay, so that are the disadvantages. See next one, what is the streamlined shape of an object? Streamlined shape of an object means when any object is moving in the fluid, right, and fluid applied force on the object, and the shape of object which reduces the fluid friction is known as streamlined shape. the shape which is given to a particular body, right, which reduces fluid friction, is known as streamlined shape. Now I am speaking and you are getting it, but the definition which is actually a little bit difficult to write and to remember, so please focus here. See here, so the shape of object for which the force of friction is exerted by fluid on a moving object in a fluid. Now there are two kind of fluid written here, 1, 2, right? So this by fluid, and when that object moves in a fluid, that is why it is written 2 times, right? By the fluid, and when object moves in a fluid, so the friction which is exerted is minimum. It is called streamlined shape. Now what happens with the streamlined shape? What is the benefit? What is the benefit? So due to the streamlined shape, the object, the loss of energy is minimum. The loss of energy of that object is minimum, and therefore the object can easily move in the fluid. Okay, now give 3 examples to show that the friction produce heat. 3 examples. So here you can write, when you rub your hand, your palm, when you are rubbing your palm, so it becomes warm. Whenever you are using the mixture, the container which is kept over there, or a bowl which you are keeping over there, right, so it becomes hot. So that kind of examples here we are going to write. See, a first one, when we rub our palms, it becomes warm. When you rub matchstick on any rough surface, right, it burns. The jar of a mixture, right, it becomes hot when you runs it for few minutes. So these are the example. See here, next question, the oscillation of some pendulum is 40 times in 4 seconds. Now 40 times, so here we can say time is 4 seconds, right, and number of oscillation, that is your 40 times. Remember this, right? Okay, so what we have to find out, time period and frequency. So for time period what we'll do, this is my time period is here 4 seconds and 40 oscillations, right, 1 upon 10. Now 1 upon 10, how we will write? 1 upon 10 we can represent it by 0.1 second, right? So this is your time period. Okay, let's try to find out now frequency. So for frequency, see here, so easy to find out. See, just inverse of this, just do inverse of this, right? See here, 4 upon 40, here 40 upon 4. So what we'll do here, just cancel this, 40 and 4 tens are 40. Again see here, 4 tens are 40, so it is 10 hertz, right? Okay, so this is your frequency. Okay, now let's see next question. This is how we can find out time period and frequency. So 12 number, the sound from a mosquito is produces when it vibrates its wings at an average rate of 500 vibrations per second, right? When a mosquito vibrates 500 times per second, means this is its frequency. 500 hertz is a frequency. So remember it, because it is written 500 per second, right? Oscillation in second, that is frequency. Now what they are asking for? They are asking for time period. So how we'll find out time period? So time period means time, that is 1 second, upon number of oscillation or vibration, that is 1 upon 500. Now I want to change this 1 upon 500. How I will change? See here, I'll write 1 upon 100 multiplied by 5. I can write. Okay, now I'll do calculation for 1 and 5. How I will do calculation for 1 and 5? So I will divide 1 by 5. So here I cannot do this, right? This is less than 5, so I'll take decimal here. 0.0 will be here, so 5 2s are 10, right? Okay, so I get 0.2 for this calculation, right? 0.2 for this calculation, 1 and 5. Okay, so now 0.2 0.2 upon 100. Now 0.2 upon 100, it means there will be more digits after decimal, so 0.002, because of here 100 is in the denominator. Okay, now how we can write here, see. So frequency of wings, here it is number of oscillation per time, 500 upon 1, so 500 hertz is your frequency. 500 vibrations is equal to 1 second, and 1 upon 500, it is your time period. This is your time period. Actually this we need to find, this is already given, right? And this calculation I already explained to you, this one, how you can do 1 upon 500. So your answer is this one, right? Okay, so let's go for the next question, which is here. List the sources of noise pollution in your surrounding. In your surrounding there are many kind of things, no, like horns of vehicles if you are living nearby railway station, so train, if you are living nearby bus station, there are loudspeakers, firecrackers, and many. So that list you have to write. See here, television and loudspeaker, sound of vehicle, loud sound of machines and factories, bursting firecrackers, honking of horns, vegetable market, railway station, bus stand, right? In big cities, these are the list. Okay, how we can how noise pollution can be controlled. So how we can control here, the aircraft engines, transport vehicles, industrial machines, and home appliances must be installed some silencing device. As you know that there is silencer in our vehicle, so there are many silencing device, right, which we can install in this kind of appliances. Okay, the blowing of horn, right, it should be less when you are in the residential area, right? Avoid that. TV and radio should be played at low volume, right? TV and radio should be played at low volume. Trees should be planted along the road and around the buildings to reduce the noise pollution. Okay, let's see 15 number question here. Explain in what ways noise pollution harmful to human being. As I told you that when you are in a continuous contact of noise pollution, there will be many health problems which can occur, right? So we can say that high blood pressure, anxieties, tension, lack of sleep, right? And if any worker is working in the factory and that person is in a continuously contact with loud sound or loud noise of factory machines, that after some period of time, right, like some years, that person may be lost the ability of hearing. So these are the health problems which may occur. So see here, noise disturbing the sleep of human being, and it creates problem of lack of sleep. Noise produce irritation and tension in the human being. Irritation, you get irritated, right? Okay, hypertension, anxieties, and many more health problems, right? Disorders can be caused by this noise pollution. A person exposed to a loud sound continuously may lose hearing ability. So these are the question and its answer. I hope you understand question number 3A and B, right? Okay, thank you so much.